between policy making, planning and budgetary allocation. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, said it will help facilitate better implementation of health policies at both national and state levels. Our reporter, Margaret Okunlola, was part of the dissemination meeting. A report.
One of the statutory responsibilities of any government in a democratic society is to improve the standard of living and quality of its citizens. To achieve this, the state government, through its Ministry of Health, launched the 2022 Annual Operational Plan of the State Strategic Health Development Plan 2, targeted at effective implementation, improved coordination and harness health resources to achieve improved healthcare service delivery in the state. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Tomi Koka, who was represented by the Coordinating Director of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Festus Shoyinka, noted that the aim of the annual operational plan is to improve the connection between policy making, planning and budgetary allocation.
This AOP will serve as an important tool for translating government intention and policies into tangible actions, which when fully implemented can serve as a veritable template towards achieving the state quest for a healthy and disease-free Ogun State.
Earlier in his welcome address, the Director of Health, Planning, Research and Statistics from the ministry said the plan will help to facilitate better implementation of health policies at both the national and state levels.
I will sincerely thank the #1 citizen of the state, who indeed actually supported with all the commitment and the zeal in making sure that we have the right atmosphere for us to operate in.
Goodwill messages were received from dignitaries at the event.
On behalf of all partners working with states, I congratulate the state on this achievement, and I sincerely hope that we'll be able to work more harmoniously to achieve more.
More importantly is the monitoring aspect, so that as we are going, we should be able to benchmark ourselves, whether we are actually working according to that roadmap.
Dr. Festus Shoyinka presented the manual to program directors, coordinators and partners and other key principal officers. Margaret Okunlola, OGTV News.
On local government administration, Ijebu, the local government area of Ogun State, has proposed a budget of rebuilding for the 2022 fiscal year. The chairman of the council area, Honorable Sikiru Emilola Gazal, while presenting the documents before the council's legislative arm, promised more developmental projects for the people of the area.
The Legislative Chamber of Ijebu, the local government area of Ogun State, played host to some eminent sons and daughters of Ijebu who have come to witness the official presentation of the proposed budget for the 2022 fiscal year. Presenting the budget, tagged Budget of Rebuilding, the chairman of the council, Honorable Sikiru Emilola Gazal, said the overall policy thrust of his administration is to ensure rapid development in the nooks and crannies of Ijebu, as well as restore hope and happiness to the people.
It is our plan to spend the sum of 2,554,000 naira on varying degrees of social and community development programs, such as grants for self-help, care for the aged, youth empowerment, among others. Procure 500 kVA transformer in the year 2021. That was installed by the previous administration at Jagiri, Ijebu. Renovation of 20 lock-up shops in the Bado garage. Construction of health center at Sabo Molode community. Palliative maintenance of road at Abeokuta, Butola, Abatio, and Itoro roundabout.
Leader of the House, Honorable Ogundari Adeshola, expressed hope that the budget would help to boost the economic disposition of the local government and improve the lives of the people.
In order to subject these budgetary measures and to come out with an approved budget for the current fiscal year, first and foremost, let me applaud my Assistant Executive Chairman for making a frantic purpose to present the appropriation bill of this current administration to the Alo Chamber, despite the recent daunting challenges.
Some of the political leaders who graced the budget presentation gave kudos to the Honorable Sikiru Emilola Gazal-led administration in Ijebu, the local government, urging the House to speed up the passage of the budget.
The newly appointed honorable judges of the Ogun State High Court and Customary Court of Appeal have been charged on the importance attached to the office, the rudiments and necessities of the work assigned to them. The Chief Judge of Ogun State, Honorable Justice Musumola Tekpeolu, gave the charge at the opening of the induction course of newly appointed judges of the High Court and Customary Court of Appeal held at the Conference Hall of the High Court Judicial Complex, Kobape. Elizabeth Esson has the details.
Training and development in no small measure help to ensure that members of any organization possess the knowledge and skills required to perform their jobs effectively, take on new responsibilities, and adapt to changing conditions. This informed the induction course organized by the Ogun State Judiciary for newly appointed honorable judges of High Court and Customary Court of Appeal to expose them to the importance of comportment, the ethics of the judicial office, courtroom comportment, and life outside the courtroom.
The judges have to be aware of the social changes in the task of achieving justice for the people. One of such changes is technological advancement. Crimes are committed in cyberspace with no physical trail but digital trail. The aggrieved party will seek redress, and the judge will be expected to understand the cyber world to pronounce judgment.
The Ogun State Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Musumola Tekpeolu, confirmed that the most assured way of measuring the success of a judicial institution is the degree of confidence reposed in it by the public, hence the need for judges to play a special role at ensuring that the Constitution is enshrined in justice delivery. In his welcome address, the chairman of the Ogun State Judiciary Training Committee, Honorable Justice Olariwaju Mabekoje, posited that the basic rudiments required by the newly appointed judges to enable them start their judicial duties with ease will be addressed during the induction course.
Recording of evidence and judgment writing, thorough developments in the accessibility of electronic evidence in Nigeria, hearing of applications, interim orders, stay of proceedings, and stay of execution, judicial ethics and code of conduct for judges, and promoting the use of end-to-end processes, the role of judges.
The induction course is the second of its kind to be held independently by the Ogun State Judiciary, without relying solely on the National Judicial Institute for induction course for their newly appointed judges of the High Court, Customary Court of Appeal, and Sharia Court of Appeal. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
And still to come in the news, Education Minister walks out as meeting with Nigerian students deadlocked. We'll bring you details of this and more after the news continues. The State Governor, Prince Dapo Abeokuta, has received All Progressives Congress APC state party executives, basically to discuss the way forward and ensure the party remain intact ahead of the 2023 general elections. While speaking on the purpose of the visit, the state chairman of the party, Chief Yemi Shanusi, said the visit was to synergize and work on the plan laid down for the general elections, as well as to present certificates of return to the chairman of the state governor.
To lay down the plan of our party for the coming election, and we are here also to present the certificate of return of the state chairman to His Excellency. APC in Ogun State is intact. Nothing wrong. Anytime, any day we go into election, we will win hands down.
Publicity Secretary of the party, Comrade Tunde Olatunjoye, also pointed out that the meeting is to consult and interact particularly towards achieving hitch-free exercise ahead of the party convention, both at zonal and national levels.
On His Excellency, the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abeokuta, who is the leader of our party in the state for consultative and interactive session, the details of which I'm not privileged to disclose here, but you know that from the news we've been hearing about convention at the national level, convention at the zonal level, a lot of activities, committees are being set up, and as the leader of the party, we believe that we should see him and consult with him for direction.
Among those present at the meeting were the senatorial chairman of the party. From Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari and National Assembly will reach an agreement on the amendment of Section 84, Subsection 12 in the recently signed Electoral Act, which bars appointed political office holders from participating in the primary party's primaries, the presidency hinted on Monday. The section requires political appointees, including ministers, commissioners, special advisors, and others, to first resign from the position before being eligible to contest in their party's primaries for elective offices. The presidency's position was made known in a statement signed on Monday by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garuba Shehu. The presidency said in the coming days or weeks, the Parliament and Executive should reach a common ground on the issue raised by the President at the point of signing the law, which is the requirement for appointed political office holders to first resign before being eligible to vote or stand for election in the primaries for elective offices. These are crucial changes to the law which will benefit voters, not parties, empower citizens, not politicians, and strengthen the democracy as part of President Buhari's legacy to the nation. Furthermore, the presidency noted that President Buhari's assent to the bill after the back and forth on some controversial provisions underscores the perfect workings of a parliament and executive, both driven by energy to deliver change to Nigerians. The presidency has disclosed that President Goodluck Jonathan's administration worked assiduously to bend the electoral system in its bid to scuttle the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari during the 2015 general presidential election. The presidency's position was contained in a statement on Monday by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garuba Shehu. The presidency argued that Jonathan's government tried everything within its power to leverage its 16 years incumbency in threatening the outcome despite the margin of the overwhelming vote polled by President Buhari during the election. The presidency said it is easy to forget that the election of 2015 was the first time in the history of Nigeria that power peacefully changed hands at the ballot box. It was the first time any party or candidate not from the incumbent PDP had won a nationwide contest since the re-establishment of democracy. This came despite the then administration pulling every lever of a 16-year incumbency to bend the electoral system to its advantage. President Muhammadu Buhari's re-election by a 15% and a 4 million vote margin in 2019 was therefore equally decisive, as it was the first time a non-PDP administration had even been returned to office to a consecutive term. The presidency, however, admitted that despite the victory, it was not a reason to ignore the fact there have been inadequacies in electoral law and therefore electoral practice. The evident inadequacies, the presidency said, spurred the president to assent the Electoral Act 2022 after the back and forth on some controversial provisions of the bill. The presidency added that the assent underscores the perfect workings of a parliament and executive, both driven by new energy to deliver change in Nigeria. In still talking politics, INEC has advised political parties to adhere strictly to the timetable and schedule of activities as released by the Commission. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu gave this advice in Abuja and also says the new Electoral Act comes with no extra financial burden.
The party that fails to comply with the timelines provided for in the timetable and schedule of activities particularly with respect to the conduct of party primaries and the nomination of candidates, will not be expected to nominate candidates to the Commission for Election. Is there any extra cost? Not at this point. There is no extra cost attached to the implementation of the activities provided for by the Electoral Act 2022.
That was INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu on the 2023 general election. As clock is ticking fast towards the conclusion of the processes leading to the amendments of some sections of the 1999 Constitution, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, is mobilizing Nigerian workers to lend their voices to the ongoing process expected to guarantee a yes vote in support of local government autonomy, independence of judiciary and legislature as the National Assembly begins voting on Tuesday and Wednesday this week. The advocacy by the Nigerian workers is expected to lobby members of the legislature to save grassroots democracy from total collapse by voting to enthrone the principles of separation of powers.
On the issue of voting, we want overwhelming voting. We don't want even 99%. We want the members of the National Assembly, when they are voting tomorrow and next tomorrow, both the House of Rep and the Senate, on these issues, we want 100% of their votes to guarantee the independence of judiciary, to guarantee full autonomy for local government, and also to guarantee full autonomy to our legislatures. This is what will strengthen our democracy, and I think it's a patriotic call by Nigerian workers. We are going to actually name each person that failed actually to vote in this light. We will name and shame them at the end of the day.
The two-day advocacy by the leadership of NLC and workers to the National Assembly is to ensure the Constitution amendment takes into consideration the need for local government system to be revived to serve the people. The meeting between the Minister of Education, Adamu, and protesting Nigerian students on Monday ended in a deadlock as the minister walked out on them. The students had earlier occupied the gates of the National Assembly, demanding the lingering strike by members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, must be resolved. They were, however, stopped by security operatives at the National Assembly gate. NAN's national president, Sunday Esefo, who led the students, said the police officers are meant to join the protesting students because they have children in schools who are currently at home due to the strike. Representatives of the students were later allowed in, and a meeting was held with the education minister. The meeting, however, ended with no resolution as the Minister of Education walked out on the students. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, says the 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, UTME mock examination, will now hold on April 9 and not April 16 as earlier scheduled. The board made this known in its weekly bulletin of the Office of the Registrar on Monday in Abuja. JAMB said that the change was due to the realization that April 16 earlier scheduled was an Easter Saturday, celebrated by Christians to mark the end of the Lenten period before Easter. The board also noted that the date for the exercise had been affected also by the shift in date for the registration of the UTME and direct entry DE, which was earlier scheduled for February 12, but later commenced on February 19. It, however, urged all candidates who registered and would want to sit for the mock exercise to note the change of date and be prepared. The Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Monday said 80 Nigerians have been received by the country's embassy in Romania. In a statement, the ministry explained that it has also provided accommodation for them while arrangements have been made to take them back home. Also, officials at Budapest, Hungary have received and accommodating 74 Nigerians safely where they are being documented for subsequent travel arrangements back to Nigeria. According to the ministry's permanent secretary, Ambassador Gabriel Aduda, another batch of about 200 Nigerians is expected in Budapest later. He also said 52 persons have been received in Warsaw, Poland. Of the number, 23 have been processed at the Polish government reception point at Hala Kijowska. The great work of evangelism, soul winning, and intercession for the nation of Most Reverend Dr. Rufus Okikiola Oshitelu, the spiritual father and primate of the Church of the Lord Aladura worldwide, is a testimony to the fact that he is a huge blessing to the nation. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, said this at the 70th birthday church service of the Aladura Patriarch held at the Church of the Lord worldwide in Ogiri Remo. Matthew Shome completes the report.
With the successful completion of different activities and programs to mark the 70th birthday of Primate and Spiritual Father of the Church of the Lord worldwide, His Holiness Most Reverend Dr. Rufus Okikiola Oshitelu is being joined by the Nigeria's Vice President, represented by the chaplain of Aso Rock Chapel, traditional rulers, and other dignitaries for the Thanksgiving. Primate Oshitelu has come to return the glory of his 70 years, during which he has been able to carry out the responsibility of spreading the gospel of Christ to every corner of the world through the church to God. Pastor Malomo described the fourth primate of the Church of the Lord worldwide as a committed and dedicated worker in God's vineyard and a good patriot.
The celebrant is also a learned person, and that he's one that is called to prayer. So, and I think those are two qualities that should be, that the Vice President recognized very, very significantly in the life of the celebrant, a man who has devoted himself to prayer, and praying not just for himself, but praying for the nation.
Former primate of the Anglican Church, Nigeria, Most Reverend Peter Akinola, who is the guest preacher at the occasion, stated that everyone needs the wisdom of God to learn how to number their days, which is what many find difficult in life, leading them to doing things contrary to the essence of living. Most Reverend Akinola charged the celebrant to take stock of the life lived so far in the light of the words of God.
If you are able, by the grace of God, by the mercy of God, to shut up all such excess luggages, you become free, you'll be light, you'll be contented, you'll be happy, and you'll definitely prepare for eternity. 70, 80, 90, it's no big deal. Eternity is our final destination.
There were good messages from the Alake and Paramount ruler of Egbaland, representatives of Christian bodies and other dignitaries at the occasion.
He is coming after us in terms of age, but spiritually he's far above us. We pray to God that he will number his days and apply his heart to wisdom. You have a big school there, you have so many things that he's doing. He's contributing a lot to the society.
The celebrant was then joined by his family members and the church for the Thanksgiving. Matthew Showumi, OGTV News.
Ogun State Deputy Governor Engineer Noimot Salako Oyedele has felicitated Deaconess Olori Yetunde Gbadebo on her 94th birthday celebration, describing her as a woman of grace. She stated this in her remarks during the 94th birthday Thanksgiving service for the celebrants and disengagement from being a deaconess in Methodist Church held at Oba Gbadebo Kukenu Methodist Church, Alogi, Abeokuta. While praying that God Almighty grant her more years in good health and sound mind, she enjoined everyone to live a life worthy of emulation. In her remarks, also at the occasion, Chief Mrs. Bola Obasanjo described the celebrant as a giver and a good mother, praying that God will continue to strengthen and uphold her to live more years. Dignitaries at the event were the chairman, Ogungwadong Free Trade Zone, Prince Boyega Nasero Isiaka, former head of service, town planner Mrs. Amokwe Choko, and other government functionaries. Happy birthday to Olori Yetunde Gbadebo. The newly crowned Onijo of Ijohun, Oba Gabriel Akanbi Ogunje, has been advised to use his present position and experience gathered in the past to mobilize its people in a manner that the effort would complement government's initiatives. Augusta Governor Prince Abeokuta, who gave the advice during the installation and presentation of staff of office and instrument of appointment to the monarch in Yewa North local government area, said development can only take place when the monarch and his people work hand in hand, concentrating on the task of accelerating the pace of socio-economic development of Ijong and Yewa land. Represented by the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Honorable Afolabi Afuakpe, the governor said the call for peace, unity and cooperation from different quarters was necessary for the common good of the people of Ijong, saying a house divided against itself would never stand.
This vow without the confusion of the people. We are therefore telling you to play your own part toward the further realization of our people-oriented, unlimited program by waking up to a civic responsibility. On our part as government, we continue to intensify effort on achieving this aspiration of government in Yoruba land and the state as a whole.
In his welcome address, Chairman of the local government, Honorable Gabriel Ogunyomi, congratulated the new Onijong on his installation, promising the council's readiness to support the town by bringing dividends of democracy to all and sundry. Olu of Ilaro and paramount ruler of Yewa land, Oba Kehinde Olugbenle, represented by Onijale of Ijaleketu, Oba Bisireyu Oyero, in his remarks, called on the people to join hands with the new Onijong in directing the affairs of the area for speedy and striving development. The new Onijong, Oba Gabriel, in his acceptance speech, lauded the state government for the approval of the installation, appealing for understanding from all stakeholders in the community. He added that laudable ideas and contributions that would move the town to greater heights are welcome. Also speaking, a member of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Honorable Wahab Abiodun, said the timely intervention that the town received from government is worth appreciating, promising the support of the people of the community to the government. The contributions of women to the socio-economic development of the society at all levels have been commended. The commendation was at the third anniversary of the Ori Lonishe Area Community Development Committee Women Leaders in Kajola, Ifo local government area of Ogun State. Elizabeth Eson, who witnessed the ceremony held at the Kajola Nursery and Primary School, reports that the women presented awards to personalities who had in one way or the other contributed to the development of the CDC. A report.
Development associations are groups and communities complementing government efforts through self-help projects aimed at making life more comfortable for the citizenry. The women leaders in Orilo Nishe Area CDC in Kajola were not left behind as they support their CDCs through their programs and developmental projects in the community.
We women redeemed ET to establish scholarship program for the less privileged from primary school to secondary school, and by extension, the best students will be selected for scholarship to the university by God's grace.
You know you have something for your people. You go out there. If you don't win, you can always try again. The idea is for you to show your own state and for you to let them know what offer you are going to give to your people.
The zonal chairman for CDC, Prince Amos Oladele, commended the initiative of Orilo Nishe Area CDC women leaders and encouraged women in other CDAs to emulate the gesture.
The women wings in this Kajola Orilo Nishe Area CDC, they are wonderful because their activities in the community, in fact, I don't know how to describe it, but they are committed in community activities. Whatever we are doing in community, they participate very, very well in the community.
Goodwill messages were delivered at the ceremony by dignitaries who graced the occasion, as they were also presented with awards of recognition by the women for their developmental contribution to the community. Orilonishe area CDC women leaders in Kajola consist women leaders from 43 CDAs in Kajola community. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
A federal high court in Abuja on Monday refused to grant the bail application of suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abeokuta. Justice Enyank Eko in a ruling said the application had been overtaken by events following an order of a sister court granting the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency's prayers to detain Kyari for another 14 days to enable it to conclude its investigation. Justice Eko held that the sister court, which gave the order in favor of ADLEA on February 22, was a court of coordinate jurisdiction. The judge, however, said he was inclined to hear Kyari's fundamental enforcement rights suit with the urgency it deserves after the expiration of the 14-day court order. He then adjourned until March 15 to hear Kyari's application to demand his fundamental rights enforcement. Chukwudimeme Uwamadike, also known as Evans, was ruthless and unfailing, methodical in the world of kidnapping, and for the number of years his reign lasted, his name resonated. After years of trial for kidnapping and other offenses, Evans slowly but surely got a life imprisonment. In this special report, Ronke Adeyemi examines the implication of the life imprisonment given out to Evans and his accomplices as the business of kidnapping seems to be booming in the country. A report.
News of arrest of kidnap kingpin Chukwudimeme Uwamadike, alias Evans, by the police on June 10, 2017, dominated Nigeria's media space and beyond. He was accused by the then Abeokuta-led Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team of kidnapping high-profile Nigerians and demanding huge ransoms in foreign currencies for their release. His 4.5 years trial before an Ikeja High Court finally came to an end after he and 2 of his accomplices were found guilty of 2-count charge of criminal conspiracy and kidnapping and sentenced to life imprisonment by Justice Akim Oshodi of an Ikeja High Court. Respondents posited that it is inappropriate for people to be swayed by emotions, believing that Evans ought to have received a death sentence, adding that it all depends on the position of the law.
As a citizen, I mean, if you talk about out of emotion, if you kidnap somebody, you kill somebody, you decide to die. You deserve to die. But I wasn't the one that prosecuted him. You must have some compelling evidence or some evidence that did not allow them to go for the death penalty.
There are 2 basic things. Other people will share their sentiment by saying life imprisonment is so little or minute compared to the atrocities they had committed. But the point remains that there are 2 aspects of law. Less than law as it ought to be, and law as it is. With the way it is, the court has pronounced that it should be life imprisonment. Maybe peradventure there are no convincing evidence that he should be hanged. So based on what the court has pronounced, I think that is the law as it is.
It was concluded that the sentence is a welcoming one.
What about the lives that have been lost in the hands of this man when he was operating? Can we bring back these people? The families that have been shattered, can we bring back the peace in that family? Can we bring back their breadwinners for them? There are lives that have been touched with his operations that will never remain the same again. So giving him a life sentence, it's worth it, if not much more.
I would agree with the judgment, number one. And I will also believe that the gravity of the offenses committed by Evans are irreparable damages to people's lives and to people's economy, to people's businesses. And there's no way you can bring those ones back. So if he spends life in imprisonment, I'm not sure it's too hard.
They were also of the opinion that the punishment will serve as a deterrent to others, but also agreed that it will not completely stop the evil act.
I want to tell you, unless there will be pardon tomorrow, I don't think life imprisonment and death by hanging, they are almost the same thing. The point remains that it's not coming back home. So, to me, I think it's adequate and it should serve as deterrence to other criminals.
The fact that Evans has been sentenced is no guarantee that his trial and sentencing will end kidnapping. There is need for government to improve the nation's economy for the benefit of all. Aderonke Adeyemi, OGTV News.
Up next is business news. Stay with us. It's good to have you join us on the business segment of the news. Buoyed by the recent surge in the price of crude oil, the nation's external reserve last week recorded the first week-on-week increase in 16 weeks, rising to $39.836 billion. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, showed that the external reserve